Hello and welcome to another episode of TDD as if you meant it. This episode is first one where I will show you some design alternatives because we have here some options. Until now we extracted some methods and then we extracted this class GameResult, and now we observed that when we want to get the game result we have these three parameters that are computed here. So it's clear that these repeat themselves in the results, and then we pass them here always to the get game result. Having seen that, what we need is to extract a class. So what we can do here is we either extract it automatically, and we hope that the tests from that we wrote for initially the three tests will run, so we will test indirectly also the class, or we can go with a more let's say traditional approach of TDD, where we will create a class with tests, and that class should have certain structures like having this board structure, the board size and the board inside it, as a very simple pod job. So let's see how this works. This is where I can use IntelliJ a lot, or any IDE that's smart enough to have very good refactorings. So what I can do here, I can extract a parameter object and I can give it a name. I will call it board, and then I need to give it a package name. I don't have one yet, so I will use tic-tac-toe to extract all these, and let's see what it does. So it introduces new board here, and also what happens if I go to this, it created the constructor, and it also created a public getter and some private final fields. So I have an object from all points of views. So now if I if I do this, I clearly have my option, my idea of a board. Let's extract this to a variable. Board object, I will call it for now. Let's run the tests and see how this works out. Good, I'm green. The interesting thing is that I have other tests where I call as well game result, and it changed this everywhere. Okay, so it's a really cool way to introduce a new class, a data structure when you need one, and it's really fast, as you saw. I'm kind of bothered that this new board class here is tested indirectly by the tic-tac-toe tests here. Well, now it doesn't have a lot, it doesn't have logic, but you can be bothered by that. So in this case you can only add tests after. But now, since we take a very rough classicist approach, in a classicist TDD approach, we're not really bothered. Well, people aren't really bothered by that. I'm somewhere in between, so I feel a bit of unease seeing this class being not tested with its own tests and being tested only through the tic-tac-toe. But now we have enough, let's say. Okay, let's go back here. Now my purpose would be that this arrange that is in fact building a board should return a new board object. So let's see. I have this problem again that I had before, saying cannot perform refactoring, there are multiple values, blah blah blah. But if I move this one here, I can extract this method. So I would like to do the same in all the tests, because then my IDE will spot these duplication between all the tests. So let me just extract a variable from each one of these, and I'll call it again board object. Move it to the top, and I have it here as well. Oh, not method, come on. No, variable. Okay, board object, and move it to the top. So now let's try to extract this, and we will give the board 2x2 parameters, token vicinity position, and direction. So build board would be the method. It says it finds it in another place. It didn't find it in the other two places, so yeah, I had it in 3, so I had only found it in 1, so something is clearly weird. Let's see. This is a board structure, a string, and I don't know what's wrong with it. Anyway, this looks good. This is what I wanted. This doesn't look good, and this one again looks good. So let's see what's wrong here. Cannot resolve symbol. So let's go back. That's the only sensitive thing you can do is go back. So I've just undone things. I want to run my tests, and I want to make a commit after that. So this is okay, it was a typo. So let's run the tests again. I don't know where that came from, probably I typed it, we'll see. Okay, so now let me close this, and let's try to make smaller steps. I will add the new things, edit class, Was it board? Oh, come on. Edit class board. Great. So now let's try again to do the same thing and to just extract this builder from all the three methods like here. So let's call it build board. Two code fragments, great. So I will replace all of them. Okay, now if I run the tests again, I'm done. Now I can build a board. I have this method that builds a board. I extracted it because I spotted duplication. Let me move it to the top because that's where I want to see all my methods. Now I have this conflict of naming because this says build board and it's used here, but maybe this isn't really board, so it's just something else. So probably we need to give it a better name. It receives the type of board and the structure, and what it does is, well, just concatenates this, and it's more like a board representation. So let me just rename this. It's clearly not the best name. It's clearly something that that will improve after a while. Okay, let's see. Let's run the tests again. Okay. I will make again a commit. Extracted method build board. And now let's do the same thing as before. Let's try to make this static. Let's see if this works. And now because this works, let's try to move this and all the others to a board builder. All of them. Yes, I want to create it. I want to make this one static and the other public, and the other ones can remain like that. So let's run the tests. Good, all tests pass. As you can see, my tests are becoming smaller and smaller. This is a good thing. This is what I want to do. I basically have some settings that will need to move away, and then I have one statement for arrange, one for act, and one for assert. So I'm going to the good direction of refactoring, and this is a feedback I can look at on myself. Again, the same thing. I have the board builder, and I will make this board builder, but with capitals, so that I could just rename it everywhere. And I won't be bothered with it. Okay, so now let's rename it board builder. Great. Let's run the tests. All tests pass. And now if I go to the board builder, I will be able to remove the statics from all of them, and let's run the tests again. Great. Let's make a commit. I think I need to do an add. Extracted class board builder. It's clearly that names here are kind of bad. That's something that really strikes me, like this one. I'd basically want this to be called board size, and I can get rid of this. And I keep seeing here token vicinity position. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that works out. Now in board builder, I have these things, these variables that really don't belong here. So if I go to refactoring, I'd like to promote these as fields. No, not that. So I'd like to promote these as fields because they shouldn't belong here at all. So I want to initialize it in field declaration. Okay, and if I do the same here, I want to promote this as field, and yeah, in field declaration. So these are like constants, and we'll see. Probably we'll need to move them away from here as well, but now I don't have enough proof that they need to be moved away. I'll need to do more things. A thing I like here is that I only have once a call to the board constructor, and this helps me when evolving the code from not having too many calls to the constructor, because probably I will change it, and because the code changes and it's clear that I'll see some patterns arising, and it's very good idea to have a builder, and it's very good idea to call the constructor the least possible number. In this specific case, I call it only once, and that's great. It's the best thing you can have. Okay, now of course there are a lot of bad things here, but I'll just stop here for now. Let's look a bit at the board. Seems fair, seems reasonable. Another thing I'm looking at is that I have token vicinity position repeating itself in parameter here and here, and then I have the direction repeating itself here and here. I want to respect the rule of 3, so if I would have had 3 methods with having the same parameters repeat themselves, then I'd like to extract those to fields. But now, since I don't have that, I only have it in 2, maybe it's not really a sign or something's wrong with the structure, and I will need to make the duplication more explicit. Here I have the type of board and the board structure. These parameters don't repeat themselves, so they exist here in a way. Yes, so we'll see how this works out. Okay, now let's go back at the tests. I have these fields now, and the only thing that's really bothering me now is the fact that I have these like settings. They shouldn't be here, and I have them defined in some tests, and also a thing I'd like to have is to transform this builder to something that's more fluid. So just saying build board builder with size, with vicinity position, with direction build, something like that. I think that I'm seeing is that here I have duplication, board builder build board, so it's clearly something wrong here, and that's a kind of duplication I want to remove. I would say just build. And then what I could do now, I could just extract these to fields and just move the builder somewhere else. Again, as I said, I don't want to have these types of calls in many places, because here, if I would add a parameter to the constructor, basically this, I have a very tight connection from these 3 parameters to the parameters of the constructor itself of board. So this is a bad thing, because I'm not doing anything to improve the cost of change. I'm just moving it away, and this is just, if I would leave it like that, it would be just an indirection that doesn't make any sense. And that's why I prefer to have fluid builders, and the fluid builders will help me create the object no matter what type of parameters I add or not. So the test will run, and I will ignore the things I don't need. So this would be probably a next episode on showing how to transform a builder into a fluid builder, and this is something I do quite often, and it's very important. But the next episode I will just show you how to create this board as an alternative, so not extracting it as we've done it now, but going to the traditional TDD and just seeing that we need these things, we need these parameters, adding them one by one with the test, and then creating a builder for it for the test, and we'll see how the 2 solutions look, and we'll be able to compare them. So that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and as always, have fun coding.